Press start.
All right, well, let's start this kind of lightweight episode here, episode 181, with myself, Tim. I'm here with Dan. Good evening.
Cutting off the fat. All right.
Oh,
just
wow.
keeping it real lean. Keeping it real lean.
Yeah, that sounds mean. And Kyle's here too.
I don't have anything mean to say, so just hello.
Are you sure? This is your chance.
I don't know. I didn't have one chambered. I don't know.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. All right.
So I'm harnessing like Derek's energy combined with my energy.
Oh, I get it.
Make
I
up
mean,
for that. So
you're saying that both Jeff and Derek, they're just kind of like the extra stored energy we don't really need, and we're getting rid of that. And this is really we're the protein. That's what you're saying. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Right.
All right. All right. That's fine. It's fine, Daniel. It's very mean, but whatever. Hey, it was a kind of cool week. We got to hang out in person. A couple of us went to play some arcades.
Yeah.
I thought that the Time Crisis game had been a minute since I had played it. I thought that was probably one of the most fun ones. That
was the coolest arcade machine that
Which
for
one
a
was
shooter. So it's Time Crisis 5, and there's two
5,
pedals
okay.
instead of one, so you can like change like the cover you stand behind to get different angles on enemies.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
you can
I've
almost
always liked
like
Time Crisis.
instantly what's it called? Flank them. You can almost instantly flank the enemy by changing the foot pedal.
I think I've played that one. Are there sections where you're going behind different covers, like with the pedals, or?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
one pedal will go behind different cover. Yeah, exactly.
You're like shifting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
especially the guys with the shields that pop up, or if a guy's got a rocket launcher aimed at you, you just kind of shift to the other one. Or like some of the little mini bosses would have big glowing red rocket packs on their back that you had to shoot to kill them. So you just shift to the side, and sounds pretty fun.
Sounds about right.
What do we do? Some Mario Kart also. They had a Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I will say that the Nintendo tax is strong with that one.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It's what was it? It was $1 for two
$1
laps,
per play, and one
race.
play is 2 laps, one race. That's quite short.
Oh, and the maps are short. Like
The
you're
maps
just like
are
you
very
blink and you miss them. Yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, it is the Nintendo tax.
It is a token siphon for sure. Yeah.
But it's a great looking machine.
Mhm.
Visuals
They
on
somehow
it.
add more luck to it. It's like at the very beginning you roll your car and you roll what items you can pick up.
Right.
And like you could just get boned on that pretty good, like
Absolutely.
immediately. So it's like they somehow made Mario Kart like more luck driven, which I was like, I can't believe this. This is insane.
Sure.
But I still had it was still very fun. It was still
It was a blast. Yeah, we even they take your picture at a couple of these different arcade machines. They'll take your picture, like
Blast,
the Cruisin' game, Cruisin' Blast did that too, where it takes your picture.
Cruisin' Blast.
Cruisin' Blast.
Which that game was so much fun that I'm gonna buy it on Switch next time it goes on sale.
Are you really? Yeah.
Yeah. You're racing dinosaurs and helicopters, and like the levels are blowing up around you. Like it's I'm all. It was wacky. It was a wacky.
Yeah,
game.
we had you have what is it, like 6 or 7 cars to choose from. You turn the wheel to pick your car, and then it says hit tunes for more cars or more vehicles. And then it's this like the dumbest. That's like a horse and a cart. It's like a couple
Horse and
oxen
buggy,
pulling a cart. You got like the London double-decker bus. Then you have a literal dinosaur. That's all. It's just a dinosaur.
All right, you guys chose the dinosaur, right?
Tim did. Yeah, Tim and
various
Jeff did.
times we picked dinosaurs. We picked
Kyle
and carts.
No, they did the first round when I saw they could do that. You better believe.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
Dude, they even have one where you could be a helicopter. It's like. But it stays close to the ground and it operates like a car.
Yeah, it doesn't fly. Yeah, it just operates as a car. Like I have no idea. Whatever.
Sure.
It's fine.
Sure.
It was wacky.
It was a good time. And then they did have a couple of rows of really cool classic arcade machines that really were good throwbacks. It helped that they were playing a whole lot of 90s and early 2000s rock and pop hits.
The music that they were playing was almost comical. It was like, I was like, oh my God, Limp Bizkit. Oh my God, whatever. Like,
Dan,
insert anything.
They played Creed. Nice and loud.
Creed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have left. I'd be like, guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it definitely transported me to a different time. But some songs I was like, wow, yeah, this is playing right now.
Yeah, that's something.
Some of the and I learned that pinball I only appreciate for the really cool designs. I love their and the sound effects. Like everything about the audio and visual experience of a pinball machine I think is super cool. The actual playing of pinball, turns out I confirmed after trying 2 different machines, still don't like it. Still don't enjoy it.
If it's free, Like, hey, I'm in a pinball, like,
yeah.
I'm playing it all day. But yeah, I picked the Star Wars one because duh. And I played pinball, and I kept on falling down the same chute that just goes directly to dead. Yeah. And there's nothing I could do about it. Just kept on doing it over and over again. I'm just like, okay, yeah.
I think that's the thing, Tim, because there's been certain ones where I'm like, you know what, I'll give it a try, just like you. I'll give it a try, and the way that they're laid out is more interesting.
Yeah,
so I
totally.
think you end up in more fun like little areas where the ball goes. So I think it just depends on the machine,
The designs are very cool. I like the ones that like interact with the screen that's up top and stuff.
The Ninja Turtles one did that. The Ninja Turtles one was cool. I liked that one a lot. We did play a little bit of the Ninja Turtles arcade game. None of us are excellent at it. I don't even think we got to the first boss before we kind of were like, all right, next game.
One of the joysticks were broken for me, so I was just like, I have to stand over here, kite him to me, guys.
You were like walking to the corner the whole time, I think, because of that joystick.
Good stuff.
Speaking of which, I played some Guitar Hero there with Jeff, and Jeff's incredible at Guitar Hero. I am very mediocre at, like, very mid at that game. Like I can play it enough. I get the rhythm and I understand how the buttons work, but in terms of like all the combinations coming at you super fast, not good at it. So I'm playing on medium. He's playing on expert, and we're going through these songs. But you could tell these are like, those guitar controllers. If you don't handle them, like, if you don't take care of them, like that little flap thing gets super loose, and so like
the whammy bar.
The little whammy bar thing. You had to really hit it pretty hard for it to actually read the signal. So anyway. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I mean, because I have like my Rock Band instruments. I have a Rock Band guitar and a, what was it? Guitar Hero, was it World Tour? Was that the one with the drums? I think that was like the first Guitar Hero.
They're the ones who copied Rock Band, right?
Right.
Yeah. I have that guitar, so they're old and they're not super responsive, and they're just laying in a bin, so it's not like I'm like using it. So I would imagine at an arcade
where they're just getting whammed on all day.
It was when you can feel like for example an analog stick, it just has the looseness to it. You're like, well, this isn't going to be good. Like that little tab piece that you either flick up or down to actually play the notes was super loose. And I was like, this isn't going to be very good. So it was a combination of me being just very okay at that game. And hadn't played in a long time, and the guitar kind of sucking. But no, overall it was a good time. They also had two really big mobile games, which was hilarious. Like two of the fanciest, newest looking machines outside of the racers were the Crossy Road and Flappy Bird. They had both of those.
Right, and the mobile version of the Injustice game. Because
dude, what was that about?
There's this Injustice, dude. I'm telling you, there's this huge, beautiful cabinet. All right, and it's the Injustice fighting game.
Sure.
And there's no controller button to like move your character. Like there's just a block and attack and a special button. That's it. And like so, it's like you just hit those three buttons or whatever. And I'm like, why is this a thing? Like it's so. It was so crazy to me.
Yep.
That's
the only game that I felt like I had some. I felt like we did pretty well at Time Crisis 5 for the fact that it was the first thing we jumped in on, and we made it through I think 3 chapters or something before we died. And then I played some Street Fighter 2 over on the retro cabinets, and I won 3 fights before Chun-Li took me out. But I was just like, oh yeah, I used to be really good at Street Fighter 2.
I had a similar experience with Marvel vs. Capcom, the first one. I played that cabinet, and I was like, I'm doing really good. Cruise through the first few fights, and then it just got stomped.
Then that's when I missed my Super Nintendo controller. I was like, if I had my Super Nintendo controller, I would have just destroyed Chun-Li.
I had a real good, which like fighting game Sacrilegious, where like
me
and Tim are like,
I know, I'm saying,
I know, what are you talking about?
If I had my flat controller pad with bad inputs, I would have done way better.
That's how I know how to play, man.
Controller preference.
That was a good time though. Got some good burgers too.
Yeah, great burgers.
Yep. So that was a good time. So that's why Jeff's not here. He's traveling back home from that visit, and Derek I think is doing a whole bunch of birthdays celebrating. So those guys are out. Hence the lighter weight squad we've got for this week. But we got a few new games that have come out, and DLC also that's come out this week that we'll talk about. And then we're going to do a little segment called Gamer Budget, where I'm going to make you guys have a limited budget for the rest of the year, and just you have to pick what you're going to buy.
I love to say this is like a really creative choose your or kill your babies.
Basically that or like the more like in a version people would say like F, Marry, Kill. It's kind of things like So it's somewhere in the same thing with ideas. You get to buy a few on sale, so you don't get them day one. You're going to miss out that first wave, but you'll eventually get it on sale, and then the rest of them you're going to miss out on. So we'll go through that. A few headlines here and there, and then anything else that we're playing or watching to wrap up. But first, stuff that just came out this week. I really haven't played a ton of new stuff. One or two things here or there. I know Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out. I think people kind of like this game. If I read the reviews
correctly. People like this genre, you know. I think people just dig this, because I think we get a flavor of this game every year, right? We got Predator, we got
that's right.
Friday the 13th, we got Evil Dead, now this. I just feel like for the last 4 years we've gotten one every year, and they're popular enough. It seems like.
Yep. And I didn't play it though. I think it is on. Is it on Game Pass?
It is on Game Pass.
Pretty sure it is on Game Pass.
Yeah. It is on Game Pass. My wife downloaded it, but she didn't play it yet.
Okay.
Because y'all are big the OG of this series.
Well, she's actually more passionate about Dead by Daylight than I am now at this point.
Dead by Daylight. I couldn't think.
Yeah, Dead by Daylight.
Yes, I just escaped my brain.
DVD. Just remember DVD.
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 It's just like it's one of those things where it's like 7 years old, and it's like, all right, guys, like maybe we need a sequel or something now because this game is showing its age, and like they're also kind of weird about like not listening to fans with like really simple fixes that should be implemented. Like it's just kind of like little weird. There's just kind of like little dumb annoying things here and there that if you play the game consistently, you kind of like get, and you're like, all right, like I'm either just super into this and I'm gonna keep playing it regardless of the flaws, or I'm just gonna quit. So. And I just don't play it super often anymore, but I still do, just not super often.
So you're still into these kind of games, kind of.
Yeah, if it's done well, then I think it's really fun.
Yeah. I have not tried this one. It is sitting here on Game Pass.
I think the difference in this one is it's all about trying to escape somewhere while a team of baddies are after you. So it's like the whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre family against like a whole team of teens, or red
I think they're almost like classes, right? Isn't there almost sort of
every family member is kind of like takes on a different uniqueness or trait or whatever. So
that's the word. I was trying to think of the phrase of this kind of genre that we're talking about. Evolve was one of the early versions of this too.
Evolve would have been an early version of this. Yeah,
it's like an asymmetrical
multiplayer.
Multiplayer. Yeah. So the idea, of course, being the smaller teams have more powers. Larger teams are weaker, but have the numbers usually, or maybe they have more stealth skills or whatever. They always have something to help balance it.
Yeah.
I see the appeal of this. I remember when I first heard about these. I do think Evolve was the first one I'd heard that was like this. I'm not saying it was the first one. I just remember it being the first one that I knew about.
A massive flop, that game too. So it's so funny that a whole genre like emerged out of it for such a big flop.
Yeah, but I remember thinking like the idea of this is pretty cool. But anyway, sounds like some of them catch on, most of them don't.
I think it's the most fun, and I still, maybe in the future, I can convince you, the five of us, because if the five of us did it, four of you guys could be Survivor, and I'd be the killer, and I can kind of just teach you guys. I think that's the most fun, because you're kind of just like, when you have like a group of buddies to play with, as opposed to playing with randos.
Yeah.
Right.
Who are just like aggressive and like that game is incredibly toxic.
When I catch clips of really. When I catch clips of this, it seems like every streamer when they're playing with their group of friends is having like the time of their life. So it does seem like that kind of game.
Yeah, I was just looking at reviews to see like, did I remember this right from this week? And it depends on the platform, but it's all over the 70s for the most part. There's a few that are giving it like 9s, like Gamespot.
Which I feel like every one of these types of games hit right there. Like Predator was like 70s, like Evil Dead was like 70s. Yeah, again, like all those games are hit around here, which is, it seems good enough,
Yeah, GameSpot gave it a 9.
GameSpot, wow. Jeez.
Yeah, which to me, they're usually pretty stingy with their scores. Usually they're one of the ones that we're calling out like, you gave that a 6? That's at least an 8. Like,
GameSpot, I think they gave Gotham a 4 or something like that.
Yeah, they're really rough on a lot of
this gets a 9.
This one gets a 9.
This gets a whatever. I'm not,
don't bring
I'm
up
not going back into it, guys. We're leaving Batman and last year. We're leaving Gotham Knights back there.
So yeah, that one, good for it. It's getting some good reviews. I'll tell you though, the one that surprised me the most this week as I was looking through reviews, there's some games I didn't know about, like Marble It Up Ultra. It's kind of like Marble Madness type of a thing mixed with Monkey Ball a little bit. The idea is that you're controlling an actual ball on these levels trying to get to the goal, and the levels get increasingly difficult. So I didn't know about that game. It's getting really good reviews. People like it a lot. I'm like, all right, that's so games like that surprised me just because I didn't know they existed.
Yeah.
Then there's games like what was it? I was just looking at it. This is one Texas Chainsaw Massacre did surprise me that it scored as well as it did. Oh, there's also Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare, which we talked about last week, right? How it's $50 and there's no improvements. I have to at least correct a little bit of it. Apparently, if you get the PS4 version, which you can play on PS5, people are saying that it can play at a pretty good resolution. It looks pretty good, and it can be up to 60 frames per second.
It can't go to 60. Okay.
That's what.
So
why was there so many conflicting?
So did they tweak? Right. Did they actually tweak it so it can do that then? Because I mean, you would have to, right? You'd have to make it. I
have no idea. This is just something that I'm seeing. I saw this yesterday and a little bit this morning.
No, I believe. Yeah, I'm
weird. But it's the Switch version, for example. I was expecting it to be like, this is garbage. Don't waste your time on the Switch. It's averaging at 87 on Metacritic.
I hear it. Yeah,
specifically this port is.
And it feels like that. This is what it was made for. Like it feels like someone goes, "Hey, let's make Red Dead Redemption for the Switch," and they're like, "Well, while we're already here, let's just port it to the PS4."
Right. And of course, it's getting some review bombs. A lot of zeros of like. Same game for $50, 0. And it's like, okay, so you didn't play it. Cool.
Sure.
Cool.
It is one of the greatest games of all time, So if you've never played it before,
and that's not a hot take, that's just a fact.
I'm serious, it really is. Yeah. And if you have a Switch and like that's your only console or whatever, you don't have an Xbox that you can buy it for cheaper on, like get it on your Switch,
Especially if you have played the second one, this is a really cool continuation of the John Marston story.
Yeah. And the game still feels pretty good, like it still feels pretty good to play. So
it's more arcadey and like older, like Grand Theft Auto feely compared to Red Dead 2, which everything feels heavier, everything from riding the horse to running
super
around.
Realistic, yeah.
Right, which to some people felt like that was a detriment. I didn't, but like some people didn't like that. But anyway, this one is much more light. A little less realistic with like the jumping and running and all that stuff.
And it was a natural progression from Grand Theft Auto 4. Like you can see that it's a stepping stone to Grand Theft Auto 5 because it feels actually more like that than 4, just in terms of its controls and stuff. So
yeah, most of what I'm seeing here at a glance is that people are saying that the Switch version runs surprisingly well and looks pretty good. Like it's
if it goes on a really decent enough sale, I'd totally pick it up.
$50 is still my one big thing
that very expensive.
That I'm shaking my old man fist at a little bit. Like, But
it's nice though because of the whole debacle with the GTA trilogy being kind of with the frame rate and all the stuff that was going on.
Not only did no one want to buy that game, that game was broken.
I forgot how much of a mess that was.
So whoever they had, because this was outsourced, right? So I don't know if it was the same team as the GTA trilogy, but clearly they probably were on top of them. Like, hey, you need to make sure this like functions well. So
good call. Yeah.
So there's that too.
There you go. It sounds like if for some reason, I'll just second what Kyle said. If you haven't played this game, I do think it's worth $50 to play. I'm not saying it's not. I just mean if you own it elsewhere, if you've played it before, I think you can just go to the Xbox store. Isn't it much cheaper there?
Or if you have a PC, like there's cheaper ways to get it, right?
I don't know if it's on PC. I think that's the one place it's still missing.
It never came to PC. That's why that's another reason everyone freaked out. Was like, you're still not bringing this to PC all these years later.
Now, if they had brought over
suck it, Master Race, you don't get this game. You don't get one of the greats.
If they had brought over even just slightly remastered, like, hey, we fine-tuned it a bit. Some of the textures are clearer, and you can play it on PC now, and it's $50, and it has the DLC. I think we would have been like, all right, I'd rather it be 40 for that, and I'd rather you give me like the Red Dead Redemption 2 visual and gameplay treatment for it, but all right. But that's not what they did. They didn't bring it to PC.
Yeah.
And I cannot confirm if it's actually improved on the PS4, PS5. That's just what I'm seeing. A couple anecdotes out there. I
feel like it has to be. Like what? It just has to be, right?
Gotta be a little better looking. Anyway. All right, and then the other one, it doesn't come out till this coming week, but I want to highlight it real quick. Blasphemous 2 is getting stellar reviews. Folks are saying that because I don't know if you guys have played Blasphemous 1. It's
always been on my wish list. Always.
Yeah, side-scrolling Souls-like. I like it. It just didn't quite have the feel that I wanted. Like the problem was I had played stuff like Dead Cells, and I think Dead Cells is pretty much perfect side-scrolling combat. It's almost flawless combat. And so Blasphemous 1 at least didn't quite do it for me. I don't know. It was fine. It was pretty good. It's a pretty good game. Apparently, according to these reviews, this game that's coming out this coming week, apparently they nailed it and really really did a great job with the sequel, which is great. You love seeing that. You love to see it.
Love to see it.
So if any of us play it next week, we'll talk about it then. Let's see. The other one is this. I think I talked about it in our chat a little bit in our group, called Shadow Gambit: The Cursed Crew. So this is a game by, I'm gonna get their name wrong. It's like Mimimi or something weird. Hang on. Yeah, I got it right. Mimimi Productions. Mimimi Productions. So yeah, they have made a couple other games in the same realm. They made Shadow Tactics, I think, was kind of their first big game. They had made a couple before that, like some mobile games. And then they made Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun, which is kind of samurai setting with stealth strategy, action type stuff. And people generally really like that game, those games a lot, or that game a lot. Has a bunch of DLC as well. You can usually get it for like $2 or like these crazy low prices. It's usually on sale, whether it's on a site like CD Keys or even just right on the Steam or GOG or Epic Games. You can usually get it for, I think Epic Games even gave it away for a week a while back. All that to say, really excellent game. It came out like 7 years ago. Then they made Desperados 3. They didn't work on the first two, but they made Desperados 3 from a few years back, which was also very well reviewed. People really liked that game a lot. Again, same type of thing, that isometric strategy with some stealth elements and that kind of thing. And so that did quite well. That's cowboy settings. They went samurai, cowboy, and now they're pirates with Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. Yeah. You can actually demo this game on PC, PS5, or Xbox. So if you have to have, so for Steam, it's just a free demo. Go download it, give it a try. For Xbox and PlayStation 5, I think you have to have their online service. Like you have to be subscribed to PlayStation Plus, one of the tiers, or you have to have, I don't think Game Pass, but do they call it Xbox Live Gold or anything? What do they call it now? Is it just Game Pass now?
Aren't they getting rid of the Live Gold? Isn't that going away or something?
I don't remember.
I think they are definitely changing the name. It's like Gold is like going away. Gold is
because like I saw all the end of an era articles.
Is it just like Xbox Live now? Is it still that?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can have it without Game Pass now. I actually need to look that up. I still get use Ultimate.
There's no way of finding out.
Possible. No.
Yeah, that's the theme of our show, is that we have questions and we're never going to find the answers. But yeah, so this one, I did play the demo for it, and it is super cool. It's got great personality. Even the opening cinematic is just, you can tell they're having fun with it. Think like a little bit Pirates of the Caribbean, a little bit Sea of Thieves, where they're embracing some of the goofiness of the pirate setting while still being cool and like having like the idea of cursed / undead. And magic being alive and well in this world, and your whole crew is all cursed. So you got like ribs hanging open, or like your main character keeps a sword stored in her chest, and she'll pull it out to do her attacks.
Cool.
And so like it's just kind of a cool vibe. It's cool style. The voice acting's pretty good, and yeah, I like it a lot. I thought it was gonna be just strictly turn-based strategy. I guess that's what it was in my mind. But you're moving around in real time. It's a little more like real-time stealth strategy, because you're moving your character. You can pause things and give instructions to different characters, but you're moving in real time. You have to keep checking like the cones of vision, almost like a old Metal Gear Solid style stealth, where you're like trying to see where the enemy can see and not let them see you and sneak up on them. So I like those elements. I think it's pretty fun. You unlock abilities where you can like dash forward and attack, or attack from above, or use the environment to kill them, hide their bodies in the bushes so other enemies don't get alerted and sound the alarm. You know, it's got all those pieces you would expect from a stealth game. And in the opening, you got this voice talking to you, guiding you, and you're not sure who it is. But yeah, as you get to the end of that kind of prologue opening chapter, the idea is that you're helping this ship, and you and the ship have this history. The ship is like alive and talking to you, and you have this history with the ship, and you set it free, and then you set off on whatever your adventure is going to be. Like you both have some kind of shared goal, and I'm still not totally sure what that is, but I like that. And of course, you add to your crew, and you can build out your team. I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool little game that none of us need right now.
It sounds rad though.
None of us need it, but it is very cool.
The stealth element is interesting. I just wouldn't have expected that from what this game looks like, because I saw it on the PlayStation Store and I was looking at it. It looks like something Diablo-esque.
Correct. It does have that look to it, right?
Yeah. So that's just interesting to me.
It looks like that. Although, and maybe this happens later in the game. The demo only has like a few little areas for you to sneak and stab your way through. It's just kind of tutorial-y type stuff.
Sure.
But I don't think the game devolves into press an attack button to just try to swipe at enemies. I think it pretty much always the idea is that you are strategically you're strategically trying to take down a crew that outnumbers you and outpowers you. You're not supposed to take them head on. Think like the Hitman games. Like maybe there's some elements of being able to take them on head on, but for the most part, you need to be smart and use the environment, use the tools they give you. So, yeah, I like it. It's a cool little game. There's one that Jeff maybe can talk about more if he ends up getting it. That's On Guard. It's that kind of first-person fencing one that looked kind of silly and funny. I just didn't try it. And then Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which a few of us were interested in because it looks cool. It kind of has a Jet Set Radio vibe to it, but it's $40, and so I think most of us are waiting on that one a little bit.
I haven't seen any reviews either, so
I haven't either.
Not that I need the reviews to like convince me, but like
it helps.
It would help let me know that the $40 is what, because I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, 20, 30 or something like that. It just kind of looked more like a low budget game to me.
Agreed. Yeah, it's a little expensive, but I will say I just glanced at the Steam listing, 98% positive of 2,000 reviews. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty excellent.
Can't get much better. That's pretty up there.
Yeah, so it's listed as overwhelmingly positive on the user reviews. That's a good sign.
I might grab it then. I mean,
yeah, $40. But if it's that good, I don't know. I'm on the fence.
I think that's the kind of game that's definitely on sale come the Steam winter sale or whatever. You know what I mean? We accidentally sleep on it because like it's a deluge of games about to come out. That'd be a nice surprise to buy half off later this year.
The whole year's been a deluge of games.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So after nearly 2 decades, Xbox Live Gold will die on September 14th. In its place, Xbox Game Pass Core.
Okay, I remember we talked about this a couple months ago when they talked about this. Okay,
a cheaper version of the Game Pass service that'll allow gamers to play online together as well. Blah 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 blah. Also means games with gold is going away too. So of the free games, right? That you get games with gold or whatever that goes away too.
That's because you're kind of giving it to you with Game Pass. I guess that's probably their mindset.
It's they're probably just wrapping it up into that.
That's a good way to. They're not taking anything away. Not
really.
Like you're still.
How long is it? Since I've had Game Pass, I haven't really tuned in on what they're giving to me on Game Pass. Now that I think about it, I'm sorry,
not in the Game Pass window.
Yeah, but I think it's right there.
I don't really take a long look at what they're giving me with gold.
One in a long time.
I don't think I have.
I try to remember to, but I definitely have forgotten some months.
I still remember to do the PS Plus ones almost every month. But I just haven't.
It's better. Not to do the whole pony thing. It's better on PlayStation because you literally just click like the redeem.
Add to library.
Yeah. Whereas on Xbox, it does a weird thing sometimes where it's like it just does that, or like it goes through the transaction. Yeah. Like it does a couple extra steps, which is weird. I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it's just not always just redeem and then it's available to download, but I don't know.
Agreed. All right. And then I saw that there was some DLC out, this Dragon Ball Z Kakarot World Tournament DLC. Tell me about this.
I feel really ashamed because I still haven't played this game and I kind of keep forgetting about it. I need to play it. So
I don't want to talk about it anymore now that Dan's moving on. All
right, I'll delete that Dragon Ball Z
conversation. This game's on sale all the time, dude, and it's on PS5.
It's super cheap.
You would love this game.
No, I have it. I have it on the PS5 because it's part of the PlayStation Plus Premium or whatever.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So
cool. That's super cool. This one I actually didn't know this was coming out this week. I kind of was fiddling around on PlayStation and just it kind of popped up on my stuff, and I was like, here I can actually play something this week. This is cool, so I can talk about it. I don't know, it's like a 3 to 4 hour long DLC that's about the Dragon Ball arc where they do the 23rd World Tournament and they fight Piccolo Jr. Tien and Goku have their legendary fight and stuff like that, and like you kind of go through every single fight and kind of the whole story of that or that whole arc, and it just has a lot of extra side missions and little stuff. It's just their classic DLCs. They've been like 4 or 5 of these now. And they've all been really interesting. A little on the short side, but always like interesting to get back into this. And boy, like relearning this game is so ridiculous. Like there's so many buttons, and a lot of it like makes sense once you get the flow of it. But when you're first starting, you're like, ugh. But you get the flow of it pretty quick, and I'm really enjoying it. It's just a real good throwback to a time where these monsters couldn't fly. You know, they had to just like run around and jump and fly clouds everywhere and stuff like that. So like it's kind of cool to like strip it back a little bit to more of the simpler moves and stuff like that instead of all the world destroying chaos that the later series kind of brings. So just good nostalgic, good vibes. That's all it brings, and I'm super here for it. Runs really well on the PS5, looks really good, and a nice way to spend your time if you're interested in just jumping back into that game a little bit. So
nice.
I actually like that they do this. I wonder if like they'll kind of just have Dragon Ball Z Kakarot as like the base thing and then just keep adding to it.
Yeah, if they ever do a sequel, I imagine they'll just be like, hey, we're
Super
Dragon Ball Kakarot Super, exactly,
Super,
and you'll just do all the super nonsense. But right now, like they still have so many like little things that they could just pick out and handpick and do, even movies and stuff like that, which they've done a couple of already.
Because it doesn't go to Boo, right? Does Kakarot go all the way up to Boo, or
it finishes? Yeah, it finishes.
Oh, so it is the whole thing.
And it's done the first two super movies, or the Dragon Ball Z super movies.
Oh,
so
okay.
Fury of the Gods and Resurrection F with Frieza coming back.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, it goes all. It's a huge piece of content. I think it was like a 60-hour long game.
Nice. Okay.
Just the base game. So. Just a good time. Literally for nobody but Dragon Ball Z fans. So don't this is not. You're not gonna pick this up and be like, wow, this is a great action RPG. It's not. It's a pretty good action RPG. But ultimately, it's just Dragon Ball Z fan service, and it's a good time. So.
Yeah, but with something like Dragon Ball Z, if you do fan service right, you're gonna win. Big time.
Yeah, I mean that's why they had like all those like Naruto games for the longest time. For a while there, they were good to a lot of people. I'm not a huge Naruto fan, but people like that stuff.
Dude,
but
Ninja Storm is
Ninja Storm. Yeah, we got a lot of like really good entries in that franchise.
I feel like there was a 360 one
days. Yeah, 360.
that had like a easy 1,000 achievement points thing. I feel like it was Naruto. It could
that
be
was the one that was kind of open world, right? There was one on the 360 that I was jealous of. I remember because I didn't buy 360.
This is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like an open world game.
Yeah, you could run around Konoha. I think that's what it was called, right? The Leaf Village.
You could say whatever word, and I would believe it.
Yeah, I don't know. That show really annoys me.
It's been a while.
Me.
All right. All right.
I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. We're being nice this week. I'm sorry. You know what? It is something that people like. I'll tell you what.
Listen, believe it. All right, believe it. That's something Naruto says. Never mind. No, Naruto is good stuff. All right. I love me. I love me a shonen Jump anime. All right.
Yeah,
I'm here for the good vibes. I'm here for the
talk about Dragon Ball Z for 10 minutes and then like try and crap on Naruto. That doesn't make
That's
sense.
a good point.
So.
Really
I appreciate you calling me out, Dan.
To be honest, there is more like actual like good stuff there with Naruto. Like there is technically like more heart there with Naruto. But I freaking love Dragon Ball Z. It's my favorite. So I mean, you know how we are. I know how
it is. Yeah.
You know how it
Speaking
is.
of real quick of Dragon Ball Z, connected but not really. The series as it is on Hulu, is that like enough of the full Dragon Ball Z experience?
Oh, I think Kai is on Hulu, right?
I think
Dragon
it's
Ball.
Kai.
Yeah, so Kai is like the
not on there
it's
anymore.
Like,
I don't think
it's stripped all. I think they just put it back on, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
They keep pushing it because I
know it's on Funimation.
Because I've been watching through Attack on Titan, it's now showing me. It's trying to hit me with all the other anime stuff.
Yeah.
And it was showing me.
Talk about something that just isn't Attack on Titan at all, Dragon Ball Z. So what a weird like recommendation. It's just like, hey, this is animated here.
This is anime style. Do you want this?
Kai is like all of Dragon Ball Z, but like condensed down, all the fat trimmed out. It's probably the best way to watch it, I would say.
Oh wow, it is on here. Okay.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch.
I'm sure there's some purists out there who want to see like Goku and Piccolo getting their driver's license and stuff like that. But like,
hey, listen, that's a hilarious episode.
I get it, dude. Hey, I'm here for it. All right, but like, also I think that the original series is like 260 or 250 episodes, and I think Kai drops it down like 100 and something episodes. So,
Yeah, I still remember when Cartoon Network, the Adult Swim, would show like. Somewhere like it might have been 4 back-to-back episodes late at night, like at midnight or something. They'd show a bunch of episodes, and there was a lot of it that I was like, boy, this is some filler they've got going here. Like,
yeah,
that's anime for you.
Yeah,
but I kind of didn't care.
That's specifically shonen for you.
But like I specific like my cousin, he was working I've told the story before, but he was working roofing, and so he would come home from a long day and just kind of crash and get cleaned up, and then I would finish my shift at the pizza place and bring home food for both of us. It'd be like 11:30 maybe when I would get home, and then we would just sit there and feast on all my pizza leftovers and watch a bunch of Dragon Ball Z episodes. So like, it's core good memories unlocked.
That's a good memory. Yeah.
Dragon Ball stuff. I don't know it super well. I feel like I've just got enough base knowledge to kind of I remember some of the villains
Tim, if you need a recap, Tim, a certain couple of individuals, Dan and Kyle,
reviewed go ahead. Let's do it right now.
We reviewed the entire thing, basically. Yeah. It's like 3.5 hours long.
It is.
When was this? When did you do this?
This was months ago. It was Chocobo Central episode, I don't know, like 4 or 5 or something.
We'll put the link in the description below.
It is the greatest conversation ever had about Dragon Ball Z.
It's true.
I promise.
I do believe that, actually.
It's true.
A couple other games that came out that I don't think any of us are playing. Sorry if this is too presumptuous on my part, but Moving Out 2 came out this week. Hammer Watch 2 came out this week. I don't think it's reviewing super well. I thought it looked kind of cool, but it's not reviewing super well. And then Madden NFL 24 just came out on Friday as well, but I don't think any of those are our games.
I hate moving. It fills me with anxiety and rage, so I will never play this game.
And we know Jeff and Derek won't play Hammer Watch because they love watches. You can't hammer a watch. That's not cool. No. And then and then none of us like football, at all. So
whose ball's the devil? So
that's actually not true. But none of us are big Madden fans.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever expressed any sort of love for football games, for sure.
Correct. Just college football games, which
maybe Blitz. 10 years maybe bring Blitz back. I'll probably get interested in that.
We were actually saying that at the arcade, like they should have a Blitz, because we played NBA Jam. By the way, Jeff and I had a very epic game of NBA Jam, which was so fun. It was like the original NBA Jam machine.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a really good time. Yeah. So we had a pretty epic matchup back and forth on that one. That was fun. That's all I've got for new stuff, unless I'm missing something that you guys are aware of.
No idea.
Okay. All right. Well, one of our headlines is about Gamescom, this opening night live that Jeff Keighley has done for a few years now. It's kind of an extension of his Game Awards brand that he also has extended to, of course, the Summer of Gaming thing.
It's Jeff Keighley season, all 4 seasons now.
It really is.
Jeff Keighley year round.
Yep. He at the very least has these 3 tentpole events: the Game Awards, the opening event for the Summer Games Fest, and then now he has opening night live. So he has like this trifecta, for right now at least. He's building a monopoly. Is what's happening. Anyway, so he did recently say, they did confirm the time. It's going to air at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, August 22nd. That time is not convenient, but to be fair, it's being held in Germany, so that's like prime time in Germany. It makes sense, even though it is annoying for most of us here in the States. At least it's not at like 4 a.m., whatever.
What time is it on again?
It's 2 p.m. Eastern, so 12 noon Mountain Time. Anyway, his quote looks like it's going to be an exciting show with new looks at many announced upcoming games like Alan Wake 2 and Black Myth Wukong. Those are the 2 he highlighted. And then he said, Alan Wake 2 I get, but Black Myth Wukong, like there's so many other whatever. And then he said, this year's Opening Night Live is less about announcing brand new projects and more about giving fans updates on some of the biggest games due out over the next year. So with that in mind, we'll just make a couple quick predictions. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but what do we think we are going to see a release date for that we don't currently have a release date for? So I'll pick one first. You guys have time to maybe look and kind of see what is on the horizon that you think, okay, maybe they'll finally give us a release date for this one. This one might be obvious. I don't think it's obvious, but maybe it is. I do think we're going to get a release date, a specific release date for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I could be wrong, but right now it's slated for winter, which looks like probably Q1 of 2024. Now, that could totally get bumped back. I don't think most of us would be even mad if it did, because the idea of getting 2 massive AAA Final Fantasy games within 12 months is crazy. So if that game releases before June, I think most of us will be pleasantly surprised. So anyway, if it sticks the landing with this Q1, that's the one that I would guess, that I know has been talked about for a bit. It's got a release window. I feel like that one could be up for specific release date. What do you guys think might get specific date.
I think Death Stranding 2 1,000% gets a release date.
Oh, Death Stranding 2.
I think it hits next summer. If I had to take, if we're doing guesses, I think that'll be the release date.
Good.
It'll be summer. I don't know, June, maybe May at the earliest, August at the latest.
Yeah, I like that
stretch of summer. We just haven't seen it in a show or two. The Kojima always goes to Gamescom. He always announces on Jeff Keighley stuff, so that's just kind of my reasoning for that.
And he was quiet on the last one, so maybe this is the time he's going to speak up.
Yeah, I think we'll get a nice big trailer, and I think we'll get a release date or window.
The Keighley Kojima alliance.
The bromance is alive and well.
I do think the timing for announcing a summer or fall game for 2024 is actually pretty good. That puts you in that 12-month window, plenty of time for folks to get hyped about it. Because there's so many games in the next 4 to 5 months that we have to look forward to. I don't know. There's something about getting something on the calendar, like kind of launching that. Like, here we go. Here's another tentpole for you over here.
I like having those things out in the distance to just be excited for, because we're hitting a lot, like that's far out, but we're going to get cool stuff before then. Yep. So it feels good just to know that there's things out there.
Agreed. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, honestly, my brain has been so like a whirlwind of just this year, because this year is just bonkers, and it's still gonna continue to be bonkers. And I'm trying to scroll through this list because like I didn't even know like what hadn't been announced yet. To be completely honest with you, I'm trying to like scroll through and be like, oh yeah, that's grabbing my eye. Maybe that.
I don't think Nintendo. So on that same note, I was looking at some Nintendo ones. They don't typically announce at other shows right now. They'll do their own thing to announce stuff.
I can't recall what their presence at Gamescom is either. Maybe they'll do a direct or something, that has nothing to do with Gamescom.
They don't usually in my experience, they haven't usually let Keighley announce a big date or game reveal.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so, no.
They do that in their direct. So I was thinking what if it's like a Metroid or like the next Mario? But he wouldn't do that. I think
Keighley paid a lot of money. Maybe he threw big stacks. It was like, hey, let's get Metroid Prime 4. What
about Hellblade 2? Would we get a release date for that?
Maybe. I think maybe that's another one where Xbox would want to keep that one, but like maybe not. I don't know. Maybe this is their way of showing something off at Gamescom without like having to pay a bunch of money to have a presence there.
You got Star Wars Outlaws slated for spring, I think. Did they say spring 2024? Is that what they said?
Spring, yeah.
But we don't have a date for that. It still feels like that game was just announced, so the idea of getting this solid release date to me, feels weird.
Well, I mean, Survivor like announced and then like released kind of quick, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I think it only had one pushback, but it was just a few months. Yeah.
Not the same type of game, right? Design-wise, it's not as open, but
Yeah.
We got stuff like The Wolf Among Us 2, The Plucky Squire.
I wish I could remember like what's been the vibe of like this show like from last year. Like I wish I remembered like so I can kind of base it off of that too.
Yeah, I kind of forget what got announced last year too.
I do think Sony likes to announce stuff at his shows. Like as we saw this past spring, their state of play was pretty. I'm not gonna say it was bad, but it was definitely not great. It was just fine. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we saw some really cool Sony stuff at the summer stuff from Keighley, and I was like, all right, that's one way to do it, I guess, is to.
It's kind of interesting how that happens. Yeah.
Give him your coolest things. Okay. Rise of the Ronin is another PlayStation exclusive.
That I would love to hear more on that. Yeah.
I was trying to think of that Samurai, and I couldn't remember if that was at one of Keighley's things, but I probably was. Keighley's everywhere, so.
Yeah, he is everywhere.
Keighley is gaming. Yeah.
He's everywhere.
So yeah, some really cool stuff likely to be shown this week, even if it is deep dives or re-reveals or trailers for existing stuff. Avowed.
Gamescom is just cool because like IGN will be there and all the big wigs will be there, and like they're gonna get their hands on with games and talking to devs, and you just get a lot of that deep dive stuff, or just stuff you may already know about, or little games that we've never heard about,
Yep.
And like I think that's like that's the fun stuff for me, is that like there's still at least a trade show, at Gamescom, whereas like that's kind of what E3 used to do. So we're just like we at least still kind of have that element a little bit. So I'm excited for all those little conversations.
I am too. I do think we'll get a Nintendo Direct in October or November, so in that window, like we did last year. We got kind of a mid-fall Direct, and that's when they announced like Fire Emblem Engage and a few other things that kind of had. Sure. I think the Kirby remake, they announced that Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. So they like, and they just let us know like, here's what's happening Q1, Q2 for Nintendo.
They did turn that Fire Emblem game around in like months. That's right. We got an announcement and like months later it was out.
There it was in January. It's like, all right, for real, you're doing this? Okay, all right.
Hey, maybe Keeley gets Metroid Prime 4. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it would be cool, but like that's not happening. Yeah.
I think that might be, if something like that happened, if it was Metroid Prime 4, I can't think of anything else that would shock me more than that.
Because like that's the exact opposite of what he's setting up our expectations for. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like,
now, he didn't
that would
say
be the opposite of what he.
What
he said.
But people, you know how people are. They still just like, oh, they don't know. They don't listen. They don't listen. They just, you know.
As far as like surprise releases, you know, if it's something that's, you know, it's out this week or available to download tomorrow or whatever, if we get something like that, I could see it being some of these smaller games that have kind of gotten quiet, like the Hollow Knight Silk Song, the Little Devil Inside, Nightingale, which I've been hyped for since last year. I even did a hype video for Nightingale.
Tim, every time you say those words, my insides break. Like, where is that effing game? Seriously, where is it?
You know, it's one of those things where it's like either they're making great progress and they want to be able just to next time we talk about it, we want to release it. Like we want to, like maybe that's what they want to do.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Or it's stuck in some horrible spiral of we can't get it right and it's never going to come out. You know, I don't know.
And Sony is like there was that last time where they showed where he was like your little guy was at that train station, whatever. Like they really like dove into it, like actually.
I remember. I was intrigued. I was like, this game looks like fun.
Like it just kills me. Yeah. It kills me.
But I think something in that realm of like not so tiny necessarily where it's one person, but you know, a smaller studio with a game that's been in the works we've known about, you know, there's some interest in. I could see there being a shadow drop for stuff like that.
Shadow drop.
We don't have a good shadow drop. Yeah.
I love a good shadow drop.
Don't have an official day for Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster. I don't know if that would show up at a.
Dude, yeah.
That could shadow drop. Konami could be like, all right, we'll release it during Gamescom if you guys will show this trailer. All right.
Unless they wait for a Tokyo Game Show, but that's my only other.
That's September, so we might not be far off from that game. How cool would that be if we got that?
I would love that.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Like, right in the middle of where no other games are coming out, you know, that September through November.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm already feeling bored just thinking about that one.
Yeah.
I'm falling asleep.
No major games have moved their release date because it's so crowded. That's for sure.
Yeah, right.
We'll talk about that. Not happening here in a minute. But speaking of the opening night live, as of right now, I'm planning on trying to do a live stream reaction on YouTube. I finally downloaded OBS, which is funny. I say it as if I had to buy it. It's like,
hey, Tim.
So I was playing with it a little bit this week, trying to get used to it. If I do, anyone who's watching this, please keep your expectations in check. I am no dapper_chocobo over here. Okay, I don't have all the bells and whistles of Mr. Dan. I mean, look at his setup and look at my setup. Come on.
Well, so I use OBS for streaming, Tim. I could easily set it up. It would just be a matter of like I have the file, so I would have to like get you the file. That's the only thing. But if you want to learn it, then you can ask me the questions and I
definitely will. I just did a test run with some existing YouTube videos just to kind of stream while making sure the audio is coming through and it was. I learned the hard way though that like it's streaming all of your desktop audio. So if I went to the YouTube live just to see if it was streaming, then now I've got this weird delayed loop coming through because it's playing my live stream, which is 10 seconds behind or something. And I'm recording and so like I got this weird loop going, but I was like, okay, fair enough. I won't try to monitor myself on the actual live stream on the same device. Lesson learned. That's why you do a test.
Yep. The desktop audio is usually not like the thing that when you're streaming that you're tweaking with the most. It's everything. You try to have things, if possible, have their own separate audio channels.
Right.
So that way you can tweak everything. So.
Yeah, I watched a couple things today while I was sitting in the backyard. My kids were doing all their crazy stuff out there, and I was watching on my phone some YouTube kind of guides, and there's some pretty great ideas out there. The ways you can swap between scenes, and they have some built-in transitions. Like it's a pretty impressive tool. Yes. So anyway, so I'll give that a whirl. At the very least, there's the stream of the opening it live. There's my face, and if any of you end up having time off of work or you're free during work or whatever, and you decide to jump in, it'd be pretty easy for me to call you on Skype and then add you into that little OBS window. It's actually not very difficult to do, I found out. So anyway, but keep an eye out for that. If you're watching on YouTube, tune in on Tuesday. We'll try that out, see how it goes. All All right, so that's it for Gamescom. I wanted to try something, because I don't know about you guys, but I do try to maintain some sort of gaming budget. I rarely actually obey it like I should. I usually get excited and overhyped, mostly by you guys. I blame you guys. That's why I bought Baldur's Gate 3. That's your fault.
I didn't do anything, Tim. I didn't do anything.
It's Derek, it's Kyle, it's Jeff. It's all their fault. It's not Dan would never do that to me.
I didn't buy it yet. I stay in my. I have to. So
you stay in your budget.
I can't be buying willy nilly whatever I want. So
I know. That being said, we're gonna do a little segment here called Gamer Budget, or we call it Gaming on a Budget, maybe. The idea is, I'm giving you a fixed budget. Now I'm not gonna do dollar amount. At first I thought, let me give you a dollar amount, and then we'll actually look up prices of games and see what you can get. And then I thought, you know what? Instead of that, let's take more of the who would you kill or love type game that kids have played. And there's lots of other, marry, kill, whatever the different things were, kids. Right? So we're gonna take more of that approach. So we're gonna look through the rest of the games that are coming out this year between August 21st all the way through to the end of the year. You may buy 3 games day one. That's what your budget allows. You may then pick 2 additional games that you definitely want to get. You can't get them day one. You're going to have to wait. So you're going to miss that first wave, but you'll get them on sale. And then you're going to miss out on the rest. So that's how this is going to work. I put a couple links in here if you guys want. Got some Wikipedia release dates. Games Radar puts out some pretty good release lists as well. But I will start here. Let's see. I'll read off some titles just to give you some ideas. But you got to come up with your 3 that you're going to buy day one. You have to have it. You're not going to wait. And then 2 that you're going to get on sale, hopefully before the end of the year. But the rest of them are gone. You've missed. You can never buy them again.
Never again.
I'm just like, ugh. And can you cheat? Be like, well, I'm not going to get Starfield because it's on Game Pass. You know,
no cheating allowed.
What do you? That's not cheating. It is on Game Pass.
Yeah. No poor pass allowed with this game.
In this alternate universe Tim is creating, Game Pass doesn't exist.
Oh man, the Sony folk are eluded, or they're so excited for this world that Tim has created.
I know they really are.
Yeah.
All right, I'm actually gonna keep mine in the notes because I'm not sure if I'll be able to keep track of them. So let me. Oh, oops. Let's see here. All right, so Immortals of Avium is one of the bigger games coming out this coming week, so that's definitely one of them. Oops. Here we go. Let's see. We got Immortals of Avium this week. We've got where'd my list go? Blasphemous 2, WrestleQuest, Armored Core 6. Which, by the way, I just watched a couple of trailers of that with my son, and Shepard was just like, "Is that a game with mechs in it?" Because we were looking through games that are releasing soon. And I was like, "Yeah, I've heard it's pretty cool. I never played these games, but I've heard they're cool." And so we watched some trailers, and both he and I were kind of like, "Do I want this game? Like this looks." This looks pretty awesome.
The answer is yes.
This looks pretty awesome. So anyway, Armored Core 6, of course, Sea of Stars. I think those are the significant ones for the rest of this month, at least. That's already a lot. So I've already got a couple that I'm considering. Immortals of Avium might be a get on sale, and Armored Core 6 might be a get on sale. Maybe. I'm still thinking. All right. We get into September. We've got Starfield. I think that's my first one that I'm going to buy.
I'm buying Starfield. Yeah. Can I just get out and say that?
Let's say that. All right. I'm buying Starfield too. I'm with you.
Wait, are we going like month by month and kind of just shouting out?
I'm just going to read through them. If you know them already, you can tell me.
Yeah, if one speaks out to you, say it. Yeah. Starfield, I just know that like I'm maybe 800 hours into Skyrim across like the lifetime of that game.
Yeah.
I'm playing its successor. I just have to.
I know.
You know, just
I know if Derek were here, Mortal Kombat 1 would definitely be on his list. Starfield might be on his list too. I'm not sure, but I know Mortal Kombat 1 for sure would be.
Yeah.
Armored Core 6 would be the sale one.
Okay, so you might get that one on sale.
In my head, I've pretty much decided my 3 I have to have it.
All right, well, let's get your 3 that you must have for this year. Let's hear
it. Sea of Stars.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2. Super Mario RPG.
I like it. Okay.
Because I mean, I have to have it. I have to have them. It has to. It's literally going to be like the same.
Your body exploded when it was revealed. We remember this.
Yes. My body, my tears exploded out of my eyes. Like it was just Yeah, so those.
I think when I saw that, I actually was like, Dan.
Yeah, I did too. I had one of those moments where I was just like looking up into the sky. I go, Dan's looking at the same sky right now.
We're looking at the same.
We're looking at a sky where we live under it, and Mario RPG is back with us again.
All right, so those are your must buy. That's pretty good, man. That's a pretty good list. I think for me, it's Starfield's one. I'm still trying to decide between. I think I've got 4 that I'm considering, and I need to pick 2. What about you, Kyle? Which ones?
Starfield would be a sale for me.
On sale? Okay. That's pretty good. And Armored Core 6?
Armored Core 6.
It's Starfield, it's Cyberpunk DLC, Phantom Liberty.
You can give yourself an extra game. That's DLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can still
great. Okay, great. So then this makes it super easy. Starfield, Spider-Man, Like a Dragon Gaiden.
I forgot about of course I did, because I'm an American, a dumb American.
Oh, shoot. Wait, I forgot one. God damn it.
So what were your 3, Dan, that you said?
Originally? Stars. No, but I'll have to put this one because I was like, oh, Mortal Kombat. I'll put it under sale, but then I realized something else. So it was Sea of Stars, Spider-Man, and Super Mario RPG Remake.
Okay.
And then Armored Core, Starfield, and then I was like, oh, Mortal Kombat 1. Okay, I'm all set. And then I remembered Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, and no, it has to be that. So
good job, Dan.
It has to be in there. It has to be in there.
Proud of you. Yeah.
So which one are you kicking out?
Do we get 3?
I mean, Mortal
games
Kombat, unfortunately.
Mortal Kombat would wait. You'd have to miss out on that one. Okay.
Yeah, forever apparently.
You're purchasing 3. You can buy 2 more on sale. So that gives you 5 total.
So I guess my 2 on sale. It has to be Metal Gear Solid for sure. And Payday 3.
Oh yeah, Payday 3. That's right. Man, this is
even though that's on Game Pass too, so I think this is all BS, but whatever.
I was considering, how much. Like, I'm really interested in Alan Wake 2, but is that one that has to be on my sale list?
And about that one too.
I literally forgot about that one, but I can't. Nothing's getting bumped. I can't bump anything. So
yeah.
What am I gonna bump? Metal Gear Solid? Who do you think?
No,
I'm not a monster.
You want to get CQC'd by Snake? Like
I know this is gonna be
that's 3 epic video games. Like I can't bump that.
I know. This is gonna be very corporate of me to say this, but I am very interested in Avatar. I really am. I'm sorry, but I love Far Cry games, and
you play Avatar?
Looks really fun.
Yeah, have you seen Avatar?
But I just don't think it quite makes the cut. I think there's too many that I want to get.
Sure.
I think that's probably like my 6th place. So it's not.
When
quite
is that even? That's December. I mean, that could get pushed till next year. That could be like a January, February game. Like.
Yeah, I think they actually probably wanted it for the movie last year.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if they had to bump it again, I imagine some heads are going to roll internally if they do. But they could. They absolutely could. All right. So my purchases, I'd have to get Starfield. I absolutely have to get Spider-Man 2. No doubt about that one. The struggle was trying to get this 3rd spot. I think. Because I was watching a ton of trailers today for upcoming games. I was really into it. I was catching up on all the stuff, getting my hype level amped up again for all this stuff. Boy. I think it's Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's just a throwback to my favorite. Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool.
I think I'm getting that one day one. And I can't give you a specific reason outside of the fact that I love this series, and the fact they're returning to kind of the old Assassin's Creed 2 is kind of the vibe I'm getting, like a really modern.
Like that there might be like 2 paths now for the series too. Like you can keep on getting these types of games that are kind of more throwbacks, and then the big dumb Witcher 3 clones. So
that could be the wrong call. It could, as I look back, I could be like, oh, I should have picked Mario RPG. But part of me also looks at Mario RPG, and I know I'm going to buy that game day one. Outside of this game, I know I'm going to buy it. Will I actually play it immediately, or what will I already be like eyeballs deep in trying to figure out? So I don't know. I don't know if that one can make my list.
I'm streaming that one. That's what I'm going to be doing with that one. So.
That's awesome. What a great stream game that's going to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I do think it's Assassin's Creed Mirage. As far as on sale, I'm going to go with Mario Wonder.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And I think Immortals
Mario
of
70s hippie edition.
I think Immortals of Avium has me sold. I think that one's.
That's your sale. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I think that's my other sale game. Yep. Yeah, there's so many good games coming out. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this too. I was looking at all these and I was like, I don't want to do the math on how much I'm going to spend between now and the end of the year.
I gotta be honest. If Immortals of Avium is a 7, I'm buying it. Like that's how
it looks so cool.
If it's a 7, I'm buying it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
one of the trailers I was watching,
awesome.
It shows him go into like the equipment screen, and he's upgrading all like the wrist pieces and stuff. And I was just like, this looks.
I love Magic games. It looks like it's a really wacky world. It seems like it's steering into set pieces and epic moments. I'm telling you, if it's a 7, I'm buying it. Like,
dude, I think it's gonna if it feels like it looks very much like Halo in terms of its like first person shooter movement and enemies and how fast it is. But the difference is, of course, using magic. And of course, the person playing it is awesome. So they're like reflecting stuff and using their whip. But as I'm watching, I'm like, I want to feel as awesome as this looks. So I really want to try this. So yeah. But yeah, man, a lot of good games, of course, coming out the rest of this year. For those of you who actually are more mature than I am and stick to a budget for real, congrats and good luck on making your picks.
Thank you.
I'm actually working on it with Derek because we do game share on a couple of platforms, trying to figure out which ones are we definitely buying to save the other person a little bit of money.
That's cool. Cover some bases,
Yeah, cover a few of those for sure. That way we don't have to think about them. We've done that a little bit this year already, like with Final Fantasy. We did it with something else, I forget. All right. Well, let's talk about a few headlines. Speaking of Starfield, it has gone gold. So eat it, ponies.
You know what? I'm offended. All right.
Went gold, man. That's cool. Good for it.
It's happening. And by the way, that would have been a platform exclusive for you. So that's sad.
Well, here to all the ponies who are like, this is for you guys. The reviews aren't coming out until the day of release.
Yeah,
so
that means
remember that always means
sure
every single time.
Yeah.
Historically, Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely not an example of that not happening, where the reviews came out day of and it got 9s and 10s. But yeah, we don't have to remember that at all.
Correct.
No,
we remember only the times that it was bad, so it's always bad.
If it was that good, they would give it to us early. It's clearly embarrassed of it.
Thank you, ponies. Yeah,
you know, it's funny. Exactly. I actually just saw today there was conversation around because they released what the opening menu UI looks like. And
I think Gaston posted this. Yeah,
there was that one particular guy with this dumb cartoon profile picture because he doesn't
apparently
have the balls to show his face.
Apparently he's a game dev though. I saw someone else quote it, just being like, "It's sad to see another game developer."
You can really tell a lot by him. Yeah. Shut up.
Let me dig into the psychology. This team is struggling. They have given up on this game.
Like,
what?
God, no way.
And then someone else just brought up the Skyrim menu and some of the Fallout menus.
I watched that hour presentation back at not E3 with them.
Right.
You know who's not bored of this game? The devs. They were so jazzed to be talking about this game that it was like infectious. Like, so yeah, I'm out on this whole witch hunt going on.
Dude, it's crazy.
Anybody would find any reason to do that. So
I know.
I already saw people who on Reddit and stuff like that. They're like, I've already made 1,000 accounts so I can review Starfield. And I'm just like, get a freaking life, man.
Do you know how time consuming that is too?
I can't even imagine because it's something so far out of the realm of something I would do. I literally can't connect to it like even a little bit. So it's just this foreign alien thing to me. I have no idea.
They'll get AI to start doing it. Create email address accounts, then create these accounts.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder.
That's right, man. You can put that AI to use. So, of course, going gold means that the main development is completed. It's moving to manufacturing stage, and you can start preloading it actually on the Xbox if that's where you're playing it. As of a couple days ago, you could go ahead and start preloading it. And on Steam, which is where I purchased it on August 30th, you'll be able to preload it. For me, I'm waiting for that key to arrive because I bought it on CD keys like a thief. And because I'm assuming they steal all their games. And so yeah, we'll be pre-downloading it. Those of you who bought it early can pre-download it. So there you go. Very excited for that game, man. My hype for that game is
Skyrim. Yeah, I think I almost throw up a little bit every time I think about it. I get so excited.
There's so much.
My body starts vibrating. I'm just so pumped for that game.
I know. I'm real pumped.
Exciting. It's not 60 frames per second exciting. It's your frames are slower. Right. Your excitement is slower than that.
My excitement isn't quite as smooth as I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's fine.
Again, I remember when Red Dead Redemption came out and it was 30 frames per second. And
how dare you?
Which and that's not off base because they kept on referring to themselves as being influenced by Red Dead Redemption 2. That's Todd Howard did. So
yeah,
sure.
Yep. And Todd never exaggerates.
Todd never exaggerates or lies or spins any truths or anything. So
he's a dreamer, everybody. He's a dreamer.
Just a dreamer. Yeah, he's a visionary, guys.
Xbox 360 store is no longer going to allow purchases after July 29th, 2024. So you got 10, 11 months or so to. And the real news for me is that you still could right now have purchased things on the 360 store. I would not have known that if I hadn't seen this announcement.
Yeah.
Right.
The good news is you can still re-download previous purchases, and they don't have any plans right now to remove that functionality. You just can't make new purchases. And I'm like, who is still actively purchasing new things on the 360 store? I mean, congrats if you are. Like, more power to you.
People can't afford otherwise.
That's right. I guess. I mean, even though the Xbox One and One X, you can get those for super cheap. But whatever. There you go. More Starfield gameplay details have been revealed. I'll just talk about a couple of these, not all of them. There's a lot, but some that have already been covered in some ways, and I think they revealed a few more details about others. Some of the ones that got me excited, though, the idea of buying houses in all the major cities in the game. At least one is given for completing a certain task, which is cool. There's also these contraband items that as you're traveling between planets, things like harvested organs, which I was already like, what? Harvested organs? Whoa.
That's called the black market, dude.
Well, that goes inside a body, dude. But anyway, like there's these security ships who will scan you, and you have to upgrade these special modules in your ship in order to properly hide contraband and stuff like that. So even that idea of becoming a smuggler, is so cool. The idea of like, this is gonna make me a ton of money if I can get from point A to point B, but there's a security checkpoint, so I need to upgrade my ship. So I got to run other missions to get enough money to upgrade my ship, so I can smuggle this. Like,
I'm assuming there's gonna be a whole smugglers guild, kind of, because there's always guilds and all
like
these
the thief
games,
guild, right? Like the thief guild.
Yeah, exactly. And like, oh god, this is really gonna be something.
What's the other secret like murdery society there, Kyle, in Skyrim? Is it Blackfoot or something? There's some kind of, I forget what it is.
The Dark Brotherhood.
Dark Brotherhood, that's
Dark
what
Brotherhood.
it is. Yeah.
I've heard of that, actually.
Something like that.
I feel like everything in Skyrim has been turned into a meme of some kind. So
everyone who hasn't played Skyrim has really played Skyrim by this point.
I know. I feel like I've heard so much of the lore of that game just because of memes.
Also, another Chocobo Central episode where Kyle and I basically tell everyone they're stupid for not loving Skyrim. So, you know.
These are facts, everybody.
Just watch
That's just science. That's like, even though
there's hard data out there, I just don't have it. I can't present it.
I don't dislike it. I haven't played enough to say whether or not I love it. So I'm not on that list, obviously. I'm not dumb. But everyone else, though, all the other people, all the other sheep.
No excuse at this point.
This is just science. This isn't Kyle and I'm sorry.
Everyone knows that it has the best combat ever created in any game, period. Everyone knows this.
Yes. It's the best ceiling. It's the most
It has dragons, automatic win.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
there's at least 16 voice actors in this game. At least.
Right, yeah. At least.
Doing slight variations on their tones.
No, not even. It's usually just the same voice for people,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's all right.
So they did clarify some stuff where like you can set up trade routes and mining operations and stuff to make you money while you're playing. They did confirm that it's not meant to be like a game that a passive game where you can set all that up and then log out and let it make you millions of dollars while you're gone. You have to be playing for that to be running.
You just leave your console on while you go to work.
Definitely could do that. I still remember playing Final Fantasy VI and finding that one loop in the river where you just tape down the A button and you'll just keep fighting. And if you set up the one old man with the cane who heals the right way, he will automatically heal all of you. And you just set it up to automatically target everybody. And so you just circle and you can just all level up to like 99 while you go to school for the day.
That was one of the best things about those turbo controllers because you could just rubber band it. Like
rubber band.
Final Fantasy IX, there was like a part with Steiner that you could do something like that. And I remember like he was way higher level than everyone else by that at that point in the game. And I had like 1.5 million gil because I just like left it like, sitting there fighting all these like soldiers. So it was really fun.
I mean, of course, now I look at that and I'm like, well, that takes the fun out of it. But as a kid, I was like, this is the fun. I feel like I broke it and it feels so good to do this. And of course, that was like on my 7th playthrough of Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
That's back when I replayed.
You earned it already,
I had earned it. I'll leave the rest of it. There's stuff with like factions you can join and stuff like that.
You can choose to have parents and like there's missions that like have you go back visiting your parents, but also you give 2% of your profits to them automatically. So I'm like, my parents are dead. No way. I'm not giving money to NPCs. That's crazy.
That is crazy. That is
it's cool though. Yeah, and like your parents look like you do, so it's like it's kind of like the Fallout 4. Whenever you make your character, the parents
they'll
that
take
like
some
you play
features
as,
of yours.
They'll take feet exactly. Yeah.
I do think it's cool that I know a lot of people will ask, like, can I do a passive run of these open world? You decide your path games. A lot of games will allow you to if you play it really smartly. You don't really have to kill anyone if you play games a certain way. They said that you can't really do that. Like, you're gonna have to fight and kill some enemies, but there are ways to really reduce that by you could
do they said minimal damage runs are possible.
Yes.
Yeah, minimal kill runs.
You could do the opposite of what Derek did with Outer Worlds, where he killed everybody.
I tell everybody all the time that I was like, I know a buddy who like killed the preacher as soon as he saw him, you know. And they're like, hey, that's the best character. I go, I know he's a psychopath, you know, like I don't
it's true.
Immediately. And he was like, oh, he's an important character in the game. I wouldn't have known because I killed him.
He's got the best side story. He's so cool, but killed him.
Never experienced. Over 20 named characters who can join your crew as well on your ship.
That's cool. Yeah, four of which are like mega important, and they're part of your like main guild or whatever.
Yeah. So let the hype for Starfield continue. I cannot wait for that. Like 2 more weeks and we'll be talking about our first impressions of that game.
That blows my mind.
That's pretty great.
I almost feel like we should wait like a whole last week before we really discuss it because it's just so chunky. It's a chunky.
What did you? We'll be able to talk.
Actually,
about it,
in 2 weeks we'll just talk about the menu. Just the menu.
Yeah. That's right. And how terrible it is. So.
There's a lot of blank space here. I don't understand. Maybe the devs hate this.
Yeah.
Have you seen Destiny 2's main menu?
Right?
I can't follow this logic at all.
I can't either, dude. Batman Arkham Trilogy with all the DLC does hit on the Switch on October 13th, which is cool. I think those games, if you don't already own them somewhere, or if you're mainly one of those, like, I just play my Switch, those are great games. And I assume at least the first 2 should run pretty well. I'm skeptical that Arkham Knight will look and run amazingly on there, but it could. It's not
the fact that these are not cloud games that Kingdom Hearts 1 was, like, totally blows my mind.
I still don't understand the Kingdom Hearts thing.
I don't know, man. Like, I
don't know.
I don't know.
It's like, you know what I would love to play on the go? Anytime I would love to. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. That'd be so amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be so great.
I still think they could have gotten a lesser version of 3 to run on there, but what do I know?
If you can get Arkham Knight to run, that's a pretty beefy game. Like, I remember, like, even PCs had a hard time running that when it came out. So
I mean, that game's 8 years old now, but it's not like, I mean, that's still a huge download if you get it now. It's still pretty taxing. I'm just bummed that they don't include Origins, because having just played that through last year,
so good.
That game is a lot of fun. It's a great Batman story. In my opinion, it fits right in with the tone of the other games that were made. It's just not the Rocksteady team.
Rocksteady does not like sharing their toys. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Bitter.
I think that's petty. This should have been a Arkham collection, and it had 4 games, 4 awesome Batman games, but whatever. It's cool that the trilogy is coming to Switch. I do remember back when the Wii U was coming out, they did port over a Batman Arkham game to the Wii U, and I remember being like, oh, was it Origins? Or maybe it was City. I don't remember.
Maybe an Asylum. Maybe it could have been City. I guess I don't remember.
I just remember the Wii U having one of them and being like, oh, the Nintendo's trying. Look at that. They're trying to get a cool kind of like third-party game. Anyway,
they're doing their best.
They're a little behind, and somehow they're making more money than everyone combined. All right, Assassin's Creed Mirage. Speaking of which I talked about earlier, it was scheduled for October 12th, and I don't know what happened, but things are going super well, and now it's coming out on October 5th. It's moving up a week, so there you go.
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. So yeah, it got bumped up. They said the game had already gone gold. So like they've been completed with it for a bit, and now they're just, I'm assuming, squashing bugs and getting ready to manufacture and ship. So yeah, they were like, why not release it a little bit earlier? Give us even more lead time before some of these other big games come out. Speaking of which, Alan Wake 2 delayed. They were both within 2 weeks of each other. No, within 1 week of each other. And then Alan Wake was like, we're out. We're not going to be on the 17th anymore. We're bumping back to the 27th. And they actually, in their statement, said it's to make room for other releases, so you all have time to play all your favorite games. Like, what a great month of games this October. It didn't say for additional polish or a little more tweaking or whatever. It said because of the games coming out. So it was, I think, sharing a release window, a very small, like couple day window with stuff like Mario Wonder and Spider-Man 2 and Assassin's Creed Mirage. They were all kind of within a few days of each other. So now Assassin's Creed Mirage moves earlier, Alan Wake 2 moves a little bit later, and now you just have Spider-Man and Mario in the middle. So whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares? We already talked about Gamescom being on August 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and Baldur's Gate 3, pretty popular. I don't know if you guys knew this.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It almost broke this year's record for single-player concurrent players on Steam. Hogwarts Legacy was at 879,000 concurrent players on its launch weekend, which was huge and unexpected, and just it's still an amazing peak. And then Baldur's Gate 3 was at 875, which they were expecting. I think it was Jeff saying this. Maybe one of you said this.
I said it was just 100,000.
They were expecting 100,000 as their peak, which would have been a success in their minds. And 875.
That's
Dang.
great.
It's insane.
I think people like this game.
It's so crazy. Like, I don't know if anyone, maybe Derek. I knew Derek was like, either quietly or whatever, like cheering on this game. But I don't know if anyone thought that this was going to be like this, like Trojan horse game of the year, contender or whatever. And now it's getting 9s and 10s everywhere. A lot of us are playing it and loving it. It's just kind of insane. So
it absolutely is.
Ugh.
It's like they took the early access thing like really seriously and actually utilized that information and that feedback and just kept building on it, because it's technically been out on PC. You've been able to play the game, and they just kept taking that feedback.
But only a very small chunk of the game, right? It wasn't.
A portion of Act 1 or something like that. Yeah.
But clearly, there was a communication, I would imagine, with people who bought it and telling them what was right, what was wrong.
Even now, I'm looking at the. So if you ever go to steamdb.info, they have all kinds of charts where they track Steam activity, which is really cool. And even in the last 24 hours, Baldur's Gate is at 731. So it's not like they had one peak and they've died off. This game has now been out for what, 2.5 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Right? The full release, at least. And the peak was a week after it released, and it's still at over 700,000 2 weeks after release. Like, this is not.
The word of mouth is really strong with this game, it feels like.
Not normal.
I feel like a lot of people are just like turning to a friend and going, hey, you need to buy this game. And people are,
Yeah.
You know what it is also, though? We're missing. It's a very important detail. This is a very horny game. All right.
It is pretty horny.
People are horny.
It's a very horny game. Yeah. But D&D is a very horny game, too. So that makes sense. This is ran
let me ask you guys this.
Sexually repressed nerds, usually.
Sure.
So, of course, they're like, and I banged the wench. Of course they're
that goblin over there, I banged it.
Like, part of me goes, like, well, that's not nice. But then, like, most of me is like, that's absolutely accurate. Like, that's totally true. All right.
Sorry,
so, of the... let's think about, like, all-time peak concurrent players for a game. Like, of course, most of them on Steam are going to be the multiplayer games. Which ones do you think would be the big multiplayer peak games on Steam?
On Steam?
For concurrent users, everyone's playing this.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I would have said.
What are some that you think? Don't go look. You got to guess.
I would have said like Fortnite, but that's not Steam. So.
That would be. What's the equivalent? What started with Fortnite?
Talk about something I'm just not down.
PUBG.
PUBG Battlegrounds has by far the biggest all-time peak of 3.2 million concurrent players at its peak.
Still?
That's what it was at its peak. Now
it's at its peak. Okay. I'm like, peak. Who cares about that game now? Yeah. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
The one that is currently at the top of the charts. It's like always at the top of the charts. Is Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Of course. Yeah,
that peaked at 1.8 million. You got Lost Ark at 1.3, Dota 2 at 1.2. So these are like these online games, right?
Where you've got,
so those make sense. Of the single-player games, concurrent players, I don't know if this will surprise you guys or not. So Baldur's Gate is now in 4th place for like mostly like single-player experience games at 875 at its peak. Hogwarts Legacy is in 3rd, 879. Elden Ring is in 2nd at 953 at its peak for concurrent players. And at just over 1 million is Cyberpunk 2077 was the highest kind of
Cinderella story, man.
Right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
it's like the most beloved game of all time, which is so annoying to people like me who, hipsterly loved it before it was popular,
Sure.
But no, I'm so excited about that.
I love
game.
that. Yeah,
getting its
good
due.
for them, man. That's why I really love when studios like Larian, who's a big studio, but they do excellent work and they love their work. I put CD Projekt Red in the same bucket of like a super skilled, excellent studio that loves their work, and when they don't do it right, like they're like, we're gonna fix this and we're gonna do it right. And they did it with The Witcher 3, which, as much as I love that game and it's on my all-time favorite games list, it might even be at the top if you really press me to come up with that list. It's so good. That game was broken for a lot of people.
Very janky when it came out.
It was janky for me, and I still loved it. It was broken for others, and I mean, it took them probably a solid year and a half to get that game in the shape where it was like.
Apparently, the PS5 version is still getting it's still not working very well. So it's
not
like
Yep. So, but I love when a studio is really dedicated to their craft and they're like, we are going to fix this.
And both of these studios are smaller studios, biting off way more than they can chew. And while Baldur's Gate's kind of more of a positive story, again, Cyberpunk and Witcher is both kind of like, oh yeah, remember guys, this isn't Activision making this game. It's not 800 employees all typing away at deving this game. But I mean, the same amount of good faith there with fans. I think at the height of The Witcher 3, CD Projekt Red was celebrated for like the free DLC that they got and the utilization of expansions with big content for little dollars. And I think that like Larian's getting a similar thing, but like for different reasons. Not having those things at all. It's just all in the game right there. Not extra downloads or anything. You're just playing it. Just jump in.
Yep. By the way, the 5th place game. Valheim.
Really?
Yes.
As far as single player games, like
that's super cool though.
It's behind stuff like Apex Legends and New World and whatever. But like as far as single player, non MMOs, non like competitive games, Valheim. Mm-hmm. And I know that Valheim isn't single player for a lot of folks, but I don't know. It's not an MMO either, so whatever.
Yeah, right.
All right. So there you go. There's some numbers. I know numbers are always fun.
Numbers are great.
All right, so as far as stuff that we are playing, we just talked about Baldur's Gate 3. I might as well just talk about that. I am playing that now. And Steam thinks I've played it a lot longer than I have. Because I think as long as the launcher of it is open, it starts to count your time on Steam, I think. Steam thinks I've played this thing for like 5 hours, and I know my actual in-game time is more like 1, maybe 1.5. Like I'm not that.
You and I are probably right. If you're 1.5, that's about what I'm in. So.
Okay, yeah. Like I've only camped twice. I'm only barely through the first few fights after the opening ship sequence. Like I'm really not that far into the game, but it's like 5 hours in. You want to review it? And I'm like, 5 hours? I haven't played this for 5 hours. But I will say this, and I'm glad this game is just getting the rave reviews that it is, because it is so well done. It's such an immersive world. It's so good. Everything that Derek and Kyle and Jeff have already said about it, totally agree. And I haven't even gotten to the parts where Derek especially has gotten, but man, is it good. But I had some trouble getting it optimized for my rig. Like it was so ugly. Like I almost messaged you guys to be like, are you giving this game a pass for how ugly it is? Like it was like even on the character creation screen, I was just checking out all the different races and builds and stuff to kind of see what vibe I wanted. And I had seen screenshots of like how cool the dragon characters and orcs looked. But when I picked them, their skin was all just like darkened and black, and their eyes were like one glowing color. And I would change the color of skin, and none of it was changing. It was just staying kind of this weird, shiny black. And I was like, what is wrong with this game? So I pushed through that. I was like, whatever. I'm making a human character anyway. Who cares? So I got going. But everything in the game was like chunky and blocky. The characters didn't look that great, and like blood splatter on the ground had a weird like outline around it. I was like, this game is ugly. Why is everyone saying it's so pretty? I was actually getting really annoyed. So here's what I did. I fired it up on the Steam Deck, and I was like, why does it look better on my Steam Deck than it does on my PC? Something's wrong with my settings, right? So I knew at that point it was all me. So as I'm researching this, for mostly it was one afternoon, I was spending a lot of time researching this, and that's where I had the launcher, but the game was closed, but the launcher was open. So Steam thinks that I was playing it for hours when I was really just researching settings for this thing. It turns out it wasn't any of my settings. I have a pretty mid-range rig, but with DLSS, I'm able to have it at high settings. In some cases, ultra. I don't need high frame rate for this. I want it to look really crisp and look really clean. And it just wasn't looking good. All I had to do was go and manage and verify the game files on the install. and it said that 3 files were corrupted or didn't install correctly, so it reinstalled them. It was like 12 gigs worth of stuff that had to reinstall. I fired it up. It looks gorgeous. I was like, oh.
Okay, nice.
Dude, computers
what a
are
journey.
So weird.
Aren't
It's
they?
so weird.
I
like,
had a moment where I was a fan. I was
installed.
like, this should just be on my PS5. This is so stupid that I'm playing it here.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. But it's so weird that it actually installed the game.
It told me it was ready.
Play it.
I even updated it, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like it's literally files that are just like, I don't know, they're like beauty dot something. Like the files like literally is called beauty dot like, or you know what I mean? Like
it was
that's
almost
just
certainly these like shader files for like certain textures and certain colors that just weren't loading correctly, you know? Which is why those characters had this very weird blank slate color. Like the dragons were solid red with this weird like singular texture to them. And I was like, aren't they supposed to be more detailed than this? Like, this is very odd.
Yeah,
and then once it loaded in correctly, of course, those dragon characters have incredible, super cool detail to them. I was like, all right, this is what I thought it would be.
Yeah, there we go.
So, but you're right, Kyle. It was quite the journey for me to go from like, I might have to be the only one hating on this game. I feel like Derek saying how ugly this is. How does everyone else think this looks so good? Thankfully, it was just an install issue on my rig for whatever reason, which is totally fine. That's the way PC stuff goes. That being said, once it does work great on the Steam Deck. I actually ended up playing most of my hour and a half of in-game time on the Steam Deck because I was like, my PC for some reason, maybe it's broken. Maybe I thought maybe something burned out on my card. You know what I mean? You start to freak out, like
yeah. You rabbit hole, you spiral,
panicking.
Maybe I've got something wrong with my PC. So I was playing it on the Steam Deck and having a blast. I think it controls great. They do a great job of really changing the menus and interface completely.
I'm definitely excited to play it on the consoles now because like, it really sold it to me.
It's
how well
optimized
it plays on the Steam
for
Deck.
A controller. Like they did
You're doing some shifting, but like everything pauses, so like you can really take your time and choose from your wheel of actions. It's very nice.
It took me a minute with those radials, but then I realized how customizable those are. You can literally pick like almost any item and any move and any action. And put them in the radial. You can remove them. You can add extra radials.
Like, I think 3 different radials. You can
add more. Like you can.
Oh, I didn't realize you could add more. That's amazing.
You can like add a 4th one. I don't know how many you can add, but you can add more.
I will say that like while I was playing it, I was like, well, I can't wait to play this on a really big screen because it's a lot for that Steam Deck screen, but it does work and it does play really nice. Absolutely.
Yep. And so I had a couple like in the camp conversations, and it'll even tell you kind of Fire Emblem style, like for 3 houses specifically, where like, hey, a character wants to talk to you and you can advance your relationship with them. Even like early on, the first character that joins you can go and chat with them. And those conversations were fascinating, and the dialogue choices you make are great. And I was sitting here thinking, part of what I don't love about the few times I've played D&D is the roll of the dice. After a while, I'm kind of like, I want this to be an adventure where my fun isn't squashed because I got a 1 on this one. Like, I understand some people say that's the fun of it. I get it. But for me, I'm like, I don't really want that. Turns out the way they incorporate all the dice rolling in this is ingenious, and it is really fun. Because, like, if you've got a high intelligence skill and you want to investigate something, chances are pretty good you're going to have the numbers you need to meet the requirement. Like I wanted to deceive these bandits that, hey, this crashed ship that you want to go investigate, it's full of monsters. We just wanted them out of there. There's no monsters in there. We just wanted them to leave. And thankfully, since I was a ranger and I had high wisdom and something, all my deception skill was really high. And my companion had this guidance move where it boosted it by 4 more points. And so I was able to easily win that roll. Didn't really matter what I rolled because I was boosted up so much. It was little things like that I was like, all right, fine, this is awesome. Whatever.
Yeah. And you'll get inspiration. So if like you fail a roll, you can like re-roll and stuff like that too. So
okay, cool.
You'll bank some.
Part of me doesn't mind when it fails. Like I was telling you, Kyle, when we were hanging out this week, that like when I failed because my guy doesn't have high intelligence. So when I failed the investigation roll, it just said like, you don't really notice anything. And so then you have a choice, like, do you leave or do you go ahead and stick your hand in there? Because you don't have the intelligence to really analyze what this is. And so I was like, well, I'm going to leave. I don't want to kill my main guy. Right? I don't know what's going to happen if I stick my hand. So it made it feel, I felt really immersed in that whole thing there. And I immediately, like, it's starting to click as I'm playing it on the Steam Deck so far is mainly where I'm playing it. It was just clicking. Like, I understand why everyone is falling in love with this game. It's amazing.
it makes me really pine for like the 40-hour mark where like you're really synergizing like with your character and like, you know, really getting used to everything, and the story's going to be really crazy. And I long for that. Like, right, being at the beginning and kind of learning everything, it's like a slow process, but like I know everything is just going to feel so good after you spend some more time with it. So
yeah, there were some elements of the combat that I was kind of like, I don't know about this, but then as I started to figure out like, hey, if you equip a crossbow as a secondary weapon for the sword girl, then all of a sudden she becomes a really useful character without just needing to always run up to an enemy or like all those kind of different things. And then how to use your bonus action, that's starting to make a little more sense to me. It's got little pieces of Fire Emblem, little pieces of Mario plus Rabbids / XCOM. Like it's got little pieces of all these other strategy games that I've played and loved mixed into it, while having just an insane amount of lore. Like I'm talking like Witcher 3 levels of
big time.
deep lore. So I absolutely love.
Well, I mean, that is the fun thing about D&D, and if you have a good dungeon master, was a DM dungeon master, then concocting all sorts of ridiculous stories like this, it's the video game, you know. And I'm sure they have plenty of super nerdy people in there making nerdy ass stories that are super interesting and fun, you know. So
yeah. So far, I'm really digging it, and it does tell you like kind of Telltale style that a character approves or disapproves of what you say or do. So it's got some of those vibes too. It's mixing in all these different pieces of games that I absolutely love. Yeah. So yeah, I really, really dig it. And boy, am I glad that I don't have to like upgrade my PC or something stupid just to play this game. You know, because I was about to. I was about to. I just have to shop for new video cards.
I guess I'm gonna have to buy a new one. Yeah, right.
And then someone I saw like it was like some random Reddit board because no one else had this issue. I kept searching like bad textures and character creation, Baldur's Gate 3. Like I was trying to find it, and no one else was posting about this. There was no image. That always feels
great, right? Like nobody's having this problem.
Yikes! And eventually, someone talked about some textures that just wouldn't work no matter what their settings, and so they just reinstalled the whole game. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So then I just went. I don't know if you guys have done this before in Steam. If you right-click on a game and hit Manage, then you can. There's a Verify Game Files option, and it took probably a good 2-3 minutes for it to evaluate all the files, and then it took another, I don't know, 10-12 minutes to reinstall everything properly and all that, and to get it to work. But it was totally worth it. Absolutely loving that. That's really the only thing that I'm playing. I'm trying to think if I fire anything else up on the Switch. I've been playing more Zelda still. I actually got me playing it has actually gotten my son to dive back into it. And he's now through 3 of the temples. Like we were at this. I had almost caught up to him, and then now all of a sudden he's way ahead of me because I still only finished one temple, and I'm just exploring, really digging deep into the depths. Love that whole space. What a great idea that was. This game has so much verticality. It's crazy. So anyway,
and they didn't even talk about that in the marketing. That's what I thought was crazy. Like, hey, there's this whole game mechanic and area that we're never going to talk about.
Yeah.
God, and rocks.
It's crazy. So anyway, playing more of that, and then just a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and not really watching anything super new either. I'm actually kind of slowing down Attack on Titan. I think I've got 2 episodes left.
Oh.
I don't really I don't feel in a rush to finish. I want to find out what happens, but I'm also like, I almost want to know when the final piece comes out so I can space it out properly.
Should be October, but you should be suffering with the rest of us. So quit it and stop.
Finish it.
Yeah, finish it and suffer like the rest of us.
You guys know my thing. I like to just binge everything. So especially with anime. With anime, it's so painful. And Kyle knows because we watch
especially like shows like this. But like we might take 2 years off. Why?
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
still over here waiting for One Punch Man season 3, and I'm like, is that even coming out?
I think that's part of why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the show Arcane was compared to anime, even though it wasn't technically anime.
Right.
But it was structured a lot of the same way. A lot of the characters had a lot of similarities. I totally see why. There was a lot of comparisons, but it also ends with this incredible like chaos is about to unfold. No one really knows it's about to hit. And then that whole season comes to a close. Yeah. And it's just like, that's it. It's like, oh, all right. There's a world-changing thing that was about to literally hit. And then it ended. So now we have to wait. What is it going to be? 3 years till
that's the thing, because it's all drawn. This is all drawn. It's not actors. It's not actors, coming back to the studio. All right, guys, let's read the script and get going. It's like it all has to be drawn.
Yeah, we actually just paused our Netflix subscription so we could subscribe to some other stuff to catch up on other shows. But that is one of those shows that as soon as it's out, I don't care what else we're subscribed to. I'm getting Netflix again and watching that thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, not a whole lot of new exciting stuff for me. What about you, Kyle? What do you got? What have you been playing and doing? I know you've had a kind of a busy week, but anything?
Yeah, it's been a busy week, but I did see Mission Impossible 5. That was a ride. There are just like multiple action sequences in that movie that are just like, oh, this is why we go see movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a lot though. I don't think I have anything negative to say about it.
What do you think about the cliffhanger heading into part 2? Like, do you like how?
Yeah, it didn't bother me at all. Like, I felt like you had a nice kind of like, hey, this part of the story is done. Now we're gonna have to move into the next phase of it.
Yeah.
I also don't remember, and I'm not gonna spoil it here, but like, I had no idea what the movie was about. So like, whenever like the opening scene happens and like they start throwing around certain terminology, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't realize this is what this was about.
I didn't know that was the central kind of threat either, to be honest with you. I didn't know that.
And I thought it was pretty cool, especially since this movie was supposed to come out a year ago, and it's kind of forward or modern thinking now about what kind of things we're talking about now, you know?
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would have came out before kind of a lot of talks about. Anyway, I don't want to spoil about what it's about, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I also, since Jeff was in town, got to use his Peacock account, and we watched MacGruber together, the TV show. The TV show.
That's cute.
And I'm telling you, I haven't laughed this hard, you know, and it was also the company, you know, but like I haven't laughed this hard on anything, maybe, I don't know, since I was a teenager or something. It was so absolutely stupid. Just like the movie, if y'all have seen the movie, it's just like that, but even just more so, just more leaning into it. They get Lawrence Fishburne to really commit to bits that he
stop it.
shouldn't be committing to. You
he
know?
Should not be doing this.
Yeah. And it was just like it was so juvenile and stupid, and here's a joke that is reoccurring through the whole entire show is every time he puts in a code for anything that's personally his, it's always 69696969. And like they must tell that joke 1,000 times. And I really love running a bad joke into the ground. I think it's like the funniest thing in the entire world to me. Yeah, it's just stupid. It's Lonely Island, so it's not going to be for everybody. It's that kind of dumb humor, like Hot Rod and other stuff by the pop star and stuff like that.
Some bits just work, like having Liam Neeson be super serious about something that's not serious, like on Life's Too Short, that one series with Ricky Gervais.
Oh yeah.
And then again in Ted too, there's that scene where he's getting cereal and he's asking Ted about tricks.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very, very serious in his Liam Neeson way, like about how it says it's only for kids, and he's like, no, you can have them. And like Liam Neeson's super serious about it.
Yeah. I like it when people like commit to the bit and they're not, again,
that's
they're
his
not,
thing,
that's
right?
Like,
I know Liam has been pulled in to do that kind of thing because he's like has an awesome voice and a great stern demeanor, and they're like, can you be overly serious about this dumb thing with us real quick? And he's usually game for it, and I love it. And even though that's a bit you can see coming, it works. It just works.
Yeah.
It just works.
It just works. Works, Todd Howard.
Video game wise, I did beat Streets of Rage 4. That was super fun.
Yes.
That game has such great music, and we not talk about that when it came out. Like,
I think that might have been an oversight on our part as a team.
I think some of the best video game music maybe ever.
Maybe
like
not.
I immediately started trying to look for that stuff on Spotify, and you can catch.
Was
it on
that a
YouTube
21 game? When was that?
I think so. 21. I think so. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before.
I need to go back to those episodes and look at the music one to see did we talk about it. I'll have to go.
I had it with my wife when that came out, and I think I remember definitely being super into the music. I don't know if it was like a honorable mention sort of thing, but
yeah, there was multiple times I was just like, oh, I don't know, just like the music really got me, and I'm like, man, we're just beating the crap out of people right now, man. And that game just feels good. It looks good. What a great video game. And I love beat 'em ups. Those are my favorite. Like, those are the games I grew up on, where like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle side scrollers and all that, the Contra and Double Dragon and all that stuff. Like, that's my arena, And I just had such a great time with that game. And I forget, is that the same studio who did the Shredder's Revenge game, or was it the same producer?
I think it was the same team. Yeah.
Okay, it's the same team. Okay, yeah. That team needs to do tons, like infinite amount of these games, please. Like, keep on putting out like beat 'em ups, please. So, also again, like the sprite, not even the sprite work, but the artwork of the character models, stuff like that, are just absolutely stunning in this game. So, I'm really glad I got to circle back around to play that. And I also played all the new DLC Mario Kart. Every Mario Kart DLC level to come out since they started that. I hadn't caught any of them. I played all of them last week. Excellent levels. What a great video game. Never make a Mario Kart 9. You don't need to.
Just that forever.
Just keep on doing this, I guess.
So it was the team that helped to develop Streets of Rage 4 published Shredder's Revenge.
Okay,
so
published.
There's some connection there because it's a smaller team that made Shredder's Revenge. Whatever. There's certainly a connection between the two, though. I don't know to what extent they were involved with making.
Well, whether they create or publish, I hope they keep on going down this route.
Keep it going. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
That's it for me, though.
What about you, Dan? What else you been playing or watching?
Well, let's see. I finished Chained Echoes last week. I mentioned that, and I forget if I talked about One Piece at all. I jumped back into One Piece.
Yeah. And we thought you meant the game at first, but it's like no, the show. Yeah.
I was actually because there's like some kind of sale going on the PlayStation Network, like 75% or up to 75%, and there was like some One Piece games in there. I was like, I was like kind of actually curious about it now, but I
heard that turn-based one from was it this year or last year? It was actually pretty good. So
yeah, I don't think it was some older ones, but it's still like one of them was like $5, and I was like, for $5, I'm kind of tempted, but I don't actually know if that game's any good. I think it was like World Seeker or something like that. But yeah, I'm enjoying One Piece. I am kind of, so I'm in the beginning where it feels kind of similar to Dragon Ball, like where the fighting's just not like amazing because the animation. I mean, this show started in what, the mid '90s, so or this anime rather, not the show. So I'm like enjoying it, but like I really love anime fights, and especially when they're just so well drawn and so slick and just blows your mind. So like I'm looking forward to like getting 500 episodes in, because that's saying that I have to wait 500 episodes in, and I'm only halfway through an anime when you say 500 episodes in.
Not even. I think you're a third way through that anime when you're 500 episodes in.
Well, I think it's 1,070.
I thought they were like in the 1,300. Okay, never mind.
No. But I mean, they're
gonna get there.
They might.
I don't think the show's ever gonna stop.
The manga's not done. I think it is approaching like that end sort of game thing. But whatever. But yeah, One Piece is really fun. It's really cool. Let's see. I did pop back into Zelda actually, just like Tim. But then I'm kind of like. But then next week there's Armored Core, and then like Sea of Stars. So I'm like, oh god damn it! Then I have to put it back down again. Like I feel like it's gonna be like Breath of the Wild, where I like pick it back up 5 years later, and I end up, like Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not gonna beat for like another 5 years basically, but that's fine. It's whatever.
But you put a good chunk of time into it. It's not like you don't know what you're talking about with that game. So.
That's what's funny. I've probably put in about 70 hours, and I literally haven't done a single dungeon.
Like, you haven't?
I literally haven't done like a single dungeon.
Okay, I will say this: you should at least
traversal stuff that you need to have.
You should
go do a dungeon, you weirdo.
Dungeon. Go do the wind one up with the birds.
Yeah, go do the wind one because like you'll be able to get to way more places.
You will, and also like it's got a little bit of a story. Like, all right, cool. They actually do have some cool story character stuff they're doing here, and that's that one.
Like I already have the Master Sword. Like I have that. Like
I had the Master Sword.
And that whole scene, that whole moment of how you get is like unbelievable.
The best.
I still haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So I won't say anything.
Great.
I won't say anything.
Super
great. It's unbelievable though.
Well, it's a good story moment too. That's part of the main story.
Let me ask you. I know this is Dan's section, not Tim's. Sorry, I'm not trying to take over. But would it be better if I continue just exploring and moving ahead and let it like organically come across my path, or should I go ahead and look up like where to start the master quest?
I would go ahead and go start, because I don't think you organically ever go there.
Yeah,
so you guys have
I think you could beat the whole game without ever being.
You guys look up like where to go to start it. Is that
yeah. And it's a pretty long quest line, and like it starts in the beginning areas. It's really easy to miss, because it's kind of a side quest.
Dude, there's so much in that opening space that I haven't gone to, because I immediately started going. I like went all kinds of directions right away. I was like, let me go over here.
I've been going through everything organic. That's what's so fun. It's like I'm 70 hours in. I haven't done a single dungeon, but I'm just.
Have you done the teardrop quests, those are really good. Like the stories that show up, like the little flashbacks.
Oh,
like,
I got one. I did get one of them.
Oh,
yes.
dude, some of those flashbacks are so epic.
Yeah. The story in that was really interesting. Like you got a lot of lore in those stories. Really, really good.
Yeah, really.
It's almost like they were making up for like that minor complaint of people. Oh, Breath of the Wild was amazing, but you didn't.
You guys, a lot sexy of Ganondorf, am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right, guys?
He's a beefcake, right?
His name.
I just kind of want him in kind of like one of those pirate shirts
is...
where like tufts of his hair is sticking out of the top of his collar shirt. Like I just.
It's Daddy. It's Daddy Ganondorf.
It's Daddy Ganondorf. And I don't know. It's like I'm playing. I'm like, is this awakening something in me? I don't really know what's going on here.
Like community. This better not awaken.
Yeah, this better not awaken anything in me.
But yeah, I'm basically just gonna kind of pop into that and play that. I mean, I'm playing a little Fortnite. I'm doing all sorts of things. Xenogears still. I think I'm 3/4 the way into Xenogears, so I'm getting there. But dude, that game is unbelievable. Like that game is so wild. It definitely has issues. Like it absolutely has its issues.
As soon as it goes into a mode of like, oh, I don't think this part's finished, that's when you know you're towards the end.
Yeah. And that's so true.
Well, I obviously, so like the thing is like
a budget around
the latter
what happened?
Half of the game, right? It's the latter half of the game, and then I think that's like disc 2 is when things start to go off the rails.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. This game was way ahead of its time. I think it was definitely way
1,000%. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, way ahead of its time, and I think Square just couldn't handle like.
Well, and talk about like a slept-on opportunity to like try it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or remake it and make it where the ending that they actually originally had was like in mind. I don't know. Like it just feels like a strong IP that people have a lot of affinity for.
Yeah, and I guess that's
kind of asleep at the wheel on it.
Monolith Soft has kind of taken it into their own hands and say, well, we're gonna make these Xeno games and just make them something else. Because then there was Xenosaga, right? Because then that came out. Gears.
The games you watched. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Also games that like
RPG.
My eyebrows would raise if they all of a sudden put out a collection of those on something modern.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yes.
Me too. I only played the first. I think was there 3 or
I only played the first one.
I only played the first one as well. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That it gets even like I keep as I'm streaming it and
Cosmos
and Saga. Yeah, Cosmos. Yep.
Cosmos,
Sexy anime robot lady.
Yeah.
As Saga comes up in conversation, I'm like, that series just feels like if Kojima made an RPG.
It absolutely.
With that whole trilogy.
Yeah. Got that
like
vibe.
the cutscenes get even longer.
Well, and it's like super existential and weird too.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like
there's so many things they said that I was like, I know that was English, but what?
Yeah.
Well,
they speak in so much in-world jargon that like.
Yeah.
What are you talking about right now? Yeah.
That's kind of.
It would be a game that would be great with a live lore, like Final Fantasy 16 has.
Yeah.
But press pause to see what the F they're talking about.
Although I will say, real quick, speaking of Final Fantasy 16, there's a certain enemy that you fight a number of times. How do you say it without saying it? He's the king of something. All right. Yeah. Anyway, he has so much dialogue. And I understand why he talks this way, but there's so much that he says that I'm like, what did you just say?
I was pausing a lot during what? Yeah, he spoke only in world lore.
And I did a lot of like the world lore stuff and looked at it, but I was like, okay, they just chose to give him the most obtuse and pretentious vocabulary. Like, it's only with his character.
Mustache-twirling bad guy.
But it's just kind of like, oh my gosh.
But it's okay. It's like he's so far gone that it's just all feeding through. It's all feeding from somewhere without me trying to say.
Yeah, he's speaking like
But there were certainly times where it gave me flashbacks to some like older Japanese-based games that were translated, and I was like,
sure.
You did what now? What did you just say to me? Like, what are those words? Is that
Xenogears is like there's a lot of religious leaning stuff, and there's a lot of Germanic, like there's a lot of words that like are German based and like even like mistranslated. So like the way they're actually even like spelt when you're reading them, because like this is that's also been one of the big struggles of me streaming Xenogears is like trying to say some of these words. I'm like, what the F even it? Like, I don't have any clue how to say this word. Like, I just try my best. People try to like in the chat be like, oh, I've kind of said it like this over the years. I think it's this. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, that game is wild, dude. And a remake would be amazing. But yeah, I I don't know. I don't see it happen. Square owns the rights to it, and Monolith does their own thing. So it's like, do they just have like a whole new team just take it and kind of figure it out?
But it's like it's similar how they handle Legend of Dragoon and stuff like that too. They're like, we have some hits like that we could just totally pull out of our arsenal any time, but we're never gonna.
Yeah.
Okay. But at least with Dragoon, that has a beginning, middle, and end, right? Like there at least is
does,
a cohesive,
yeah. But like you could make a sequel to that game and it be game.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Like why has there never been a sequel to that game? It's crazy.
I don't know.
No clue.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, it's been an interesting. I'm actually looking forward to playing it a second time, like off stream in the future, just so I can absorb it better. Because it's such a wild game.
Yeah, because you're trying to like host a stream of people watching it while playing it.
Yeah.
Oh man, and
chatting
understand
with them and understand it, and it's a lot. It definitely was maybe not the best old RPG that I've never played to stream first, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's still, I'm glad that I'm doing it, and then when I finish it, it'll be like, hey, I finished Xenogears finally. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. Well, if you don't already, folks, go check out Dapper_Chocobo on Twitch for that stuff. If you want to see some fancy, look at that.
I have the original copy right here. So.
Oh man, it's not even got that ugly green greatest hits, bind or anything. Great, that's awesome.
Good character design in that game too. I love the characters.
So good.
Yeah, really good. All right, well that does it for us for this week. Derek and Jeff are not playing anything interesting, so you wouldn't have wanted to hear that anyway.
No,
nothing interesting at all.
Cutting off the fat.
I don't like how that's the theme.
Bookended, yeah, you're bookending it with meanness. Okay.
I don't like that as the theme.
Lean meats.
But hey, listen, next week we've got a few more big games coming out. And it's only going to that list is only going to keep growing. Of course, we'll continue to talk about like what else we've done in Zelda, what else we've seen in Baldur's Gate 3. Like, yeah, you'll keep hearing that from us for sure. But you're going to start hearing about this coming week. We've got Armored Core and WrestleQuest. Hopefully, WrestleQuest actually sticks the landing and arrives this week. Armored Core 6. I think there's a couple others we talked about. Immortals of Avium. I think Derek might buy that one. I might get it. I'm on the fence with that one.
Sounds like he's buying it no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I picked as like an on sale game. Like I want to get it. I don't know if I'm $70 wanting it, but I want it. And then of course we head into Starfield week after that. So I don't know what to tell you. This is kind of the last quiet week we've got, even though there's still big games coming out next week. It's the most quiet we've got before we got Starfield, Sea of Stars, and then
quiet before the storm.
Oh my gosh!
Right.
Then Mortal Kombat and Lies of P and Witchfire and there's a lot of September games. I was looking at that list and I was like, oh crap.
Oh gosh.
F. Just
start
F.
budgeting.
Yeah.
Just F.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you all for watching. See ya.